ladies and gentlemen, thank you for attending our bi-weekly SMB training. Okay, so it has been some time, and I think time passes really quickly, right? We are already approaching middle of July. Well, not June, I almost said June, but it's July. Okay, so how are all our fellow 90-day program, okay, if they are candidates who are here on this call or people who are in this program, okay, just wanted to know if you guys are doing okay. All right, I'm sure all of you are in good hands, right? Okay, give a great pat on the back to your coaches, okay, who has been meticulously checking with you to ensure that you are, posting your pictures regularly, that you're eating the correct portions with all your weighing in. Okay, so don't be disheartened, all right, if your progress is not going down every single week, okay, because it's a very individual thing. And some people may experience faster results compared to some others, but that does not mean that your effort is wasted, okay, because it's many different bodies, okay. But if you follow consistently, definitely you will be able to see something, okay, and even how you feel throughout the day, your energy levels, your craving, overall the benefit will definitely be there. Okay, so hang on, okay, all of us, even in the corporate team, we are also part of this program. All right, and just the other day my colleague was saying, I really want to pass by the store, and I will confess, even I myself, also when I pass by the mala store, I'm like, oh my goodness, this store, we haven't eaten for like how many months already? Okay, actually technically like 2 months. So another 3 more months. So by the time when this program ended, we may not even think about this store. Alright. So it's a very real thing. We are all on this journey together, and remember to hold on. Okay, any questions, I'm sure your coach will be more than willing to share with you. Okay, so I see a show of hands, but we will leave the questions to the end of the session today. Okay, so please feel free to share any feedback you have or any questions pertaining to this topic later at the end of today's session. Okay, so give me a moment as I share my screen. Okay, so I'm sure all of you who are on this journey, definitely you will come across this struggle one, as you do your weekly weigh-in, right? And you see your comparison, there must be a time that you will hit a plateau. Or you may be very frustrated when you see the results. Hey, how come I work so hard, I do everything, but my fat won't move on, your fat don't budge. Okay, but what is going down, what is declining is your muscle, right? And some people even worse, okay? Both go down. It's not as bad as losing muscle purely, okay? And many people, when they're on a very rapid weight loss, they may experience muscle decline more than fat decline, okay? And in this session, we will learn, okay, how both of these tissues are so different. And in order for you to be able to crack and to target the right group, it takes some strategic hormonal signaling, okay, in order for you to achieve that. Okay, so don't worry, everybody will eventually face this. Okay, you will definitely come to that point that you will have stagnancy, or you find your muscle, why is it declining? Okay, this is actually very normal as you are part of a recomposition program. Right? Okay, now, before we can really address this topic about fat versus muscle, right, it's important that you need to know what is a fat cell. Okay, you need to know what is it first. You need to know your enemy, right, before you can think about how to strategize, okay, or how to attack your enemy. So fat cells is basically like this, all right? As you can see, in the cell structure is basically just, there's a nucleus, and in the middle is just a whole big blob of fat, right? So what are the characteristics of a fat cell? Okay, so the big part of your fat cell is actually what we call triglyceride. Okay, I'm sure when you go and do your blood readings, okay, in fact, I think it's encouraged that you do a blood reading even before your 90 day. Okay, so if before 90 days, it's good to do one, and by the end of the 3 months to also do another one. So you can also track your blood report, because feel great is not just only about lose weight. Okay, it's a whole body 360 change. So not just only you will see some recomposition, okay, but your blood report, your cholesterol and your blood sugar, all these things would also be fine-tuned, right? So just to make it clear that, I know not everybody have the intention to lose weight, right? Some people it's just more on the health side. They just want to do more on the blood report. Okay, so you will be able to see some changes there as well. Okay, so our fat cell is essentially triglyceride. Cholesterol, LDL, all those are separate issues, but our fat cell is in fact 90%, okay, inside is all triglyceride. Okay, so what does this tell us? Okay, and triglyceride is the main fat reservoir, okay, inside it. So if you're talking about really wanting to mobilize your fat cell, we're talking about mobilizing more triglyceride into your bloodstream to be used as energy. Okay, so excess sugar from your bloodstream will immediately be shuttled into this fat cell and you'll be converted into triglyceride. Okay, so if a person have a more fat percentage, very naturally their triglyceride level will also be higher because it's all deposited, right? So the science behind this is that your bloodstream can only hold about 1 teaspoon of sugar safely at one time, right? So that is how much sugar that our body can technically hold at a given moment. Right, so when we eat high carbs, okay, our insulin will straight away signal the liver, hey, okay, it's too much sugar already. Quickly get this sugar out from the bloodstream. So all this sugar will go where? Okay, of course, it will go to your cell, but mainly it will go into your fat cell the fastest. Right? So the liver has no choice but to convert the excess sugar from your bloodstream to go and shuttle into all your fat cells. Okay, so whenever a person is on a high sugar or high refined diet, right, you can actually see in their blood report right now. Okay, and if you see a person that has a high triglyceride level, usually doctor may ask you things like, did you eat a very high carb meal? Have you been eating a lot of junk food or even alcohol? Okay, all these things can be reflected pretty immediate, and the correlation between triglyceride and carbohydrates is actually very closely linked. So you can actually trace a dietary factor triglyceride with your intake as well. Okay, and this whole thing summarizes how it's being mobilized and how we should be using triglyceride as an energy source. Okay, not glucose. Right? Okay, so ideally we all should be using stored fat as energy. So this is the most ideal situation. But why aren't we? Okay, and to be more specific, it's more like why we can't. Okay, why we cannot. Under ideal circumstances, of course, the triglyceride should be mobilized and it should be the primary source of energy. Okay, if that's the case, all of us will not have high fat percentage problem already. We will all be very lean, okay, because our fat is mobilizing the triglyceride as fuel, right? Okay, but it is incredibly stubborn, right? The purpose of why fat cell exists is to store fat. Okay, they're just here to take out all, it's like a hoarder, the sugar for them is like gold, like that. They take, store. Okay, so it's very stubborn and it's very hard to budge this thing. Okay, that's why there's this like frustration over fat loss, right? The nature of fat is to store, not to burn. So the body will always use quick available energy one. So whenever you eat something like, especially those very refined one, like white bread, like white rice, immediately your body will use that rather than using this, because it's so hard to mobilize the triglyceride from your fat cell. It's how difficult it is. Okay, so your body will always go towards the path of least resistance, the easiest way, so we can quickly use all the energy that you eat rather than energy in your body. Alright, so end up fat stores will be untouched and only available from what you eat. Okay, so that's why it is problem. Okay, now after knowing the nature of fat, it's only logical for us to know how about muscle tissue. Alright, so fat cells exist to save energy, muscle exists to use it. Okay, so muscle is like very different from fat, right? Muscle use, okay, consumes, like keep on eating. Why? Because it uses a lot of energy. And especially mitochondria. Okay, mitochondria is basically like the power plant, right? In our body, in our cells, there are many different power plants to generate energy. Okay, so to compare the amount of mitochondria in the muscle and fat, fat cells have about 100 to 200 mitochondria, right? But muscle cells have 2,000 to 5,000. It has 10 times more power hub, power plant compared to fat. So with that already, you know that your muscles are always on the go, right? Always using a lot of energy, always very active one. So because of this, it's a very high maintenance tissue. It is something that without sufficient energy, it can, I wouldn't say die, it will break down. Yeah, it will break down very fast as well. Okay, because this is what determines your metabolic rate, right? So when you're sitting still, okay, even though you're washing the dishes or watching TV, sleeping also, your muscle is burning energy so that you are able to survive. Okay, and our muscle uses a lot even just at rest. Okay, so how does it stay alive? Basically, due to its highly active nature, it needs fast, quick energy, which is available glucose from food. Right, so this is why we encourage that, even in whatever body composition program, or what your goal is to not restrict your carbohydrate too much as well. Okay, because your muscle does need available form of sugar. That is still the direct form of sugar that your muscle needs in order to sustain itself. All right, hence it is the largest glucose sink. Okay, it's not just only to keep your blood sugar healthy. It also needs sugar. So it takes about 80% sugar. It's also to sustain itself. Right? So under healthy circumstances, excess sugar is in the muscle is stored cleanly as glycogen, okay, which is what we call like a sugar in your muscle. So it's supposed to be like that. But unfortunately, there are many people who have fats in their muscle already, okay, which is not normal. Alright, so a small percentage of fat is there healthily as a fuel reserve and as cushion, okay, a mechanic cushion just in case, okay, if you were to, have any abrasion anywhere. Okay, but the thing is, if there's excess fat in the muscle, it's not normal. And this is due to poor lifestyle habits and of course insulin resistance is a big part as well. Due to diet and high insulin over time, okay, we can see that there is a pretty big difference, right, between a healthy muscle and a sarcopenic muscle, and this can happen at any age. It's not an old people issue, okay, it can start as young as 30, really depending on how bad is your insulin resistance. Okay, so that's why both are so different. Alright, so in summary, the main difference is fat cell is basically just pure fat, okay, 90% triglyceride. It pushes mitochondria to the side of the cell. Fat droplet takes up maximum space, so it's basically just a huge block of fats. Alright, it locks up energy, it hots it, and you need minimal energy. That's why your body don't want to touch, because it's like you don't need any energy, you just stay there. Alright, just chill. Okay, but skeletal muscle on the other side, packed with thousands of mitochondria just to generate energy. It's a lot of calories, right? Take up energy consistently, sugar from blood, right? And it's highly active tissue, requires energy even during sleep. So because of this, alright, it uses 3 times more energy than fat at rest. Okay, compared to the fat cell, your skeletal muscle consumes a lot more energy, right? Okay, so this is where it gets really frustrating. I already eat less and do everything that seems right, but why do I lose muscle and gain fat? Right? Why? Okay, so when it comes to a situation where your body is trying to realign and do a recomposition, okay, there will be some changes that your body is going to adapt. Right? Your body has to sacrifice something, of course, but because there's scarcity already, right? Alright, we'll always choose to sacrifice the muscle because it's too much work to maintain really. Okay, it takes up too much energy. And imagine your resources are so much lesser, right? So if you don't eat properly, or if you just rely on crash diets or calorie deficit, right? Definitely you will lose a lot of muscle. Because it's easier for your body to just let this thing break down. It's okay, what? Because it's so much harder to mobilize the fat, so might as well just sacrifice this thing. Okay, this is what what biologically our body would do, right? Okay, because it takes so much more energy at rest than fat. They constantly need to be fueled to stay alive. Okay, your body will always choose the easy way out, okay, the path of least resistance, right? Breaking down muscle tissue as energy is much easier, ironically. Okay, and this happens if someone aggressively cuts down their diet in starvation or not eating correctly. Right, so this is why it's important that you always submit your pictures to your coaches, and they're gonna tell you, right, okay, are you eating too much? Do you need to change a little bit? Do you need to do all this kind of thing? So it's very important that you do this kind of tracking to ensure that you are not, going off tangent, right? So that's why we feel great. Okay, we always still say you do intuitive eating. You should do what feels right to your body. Okay, and it's not supposed to be exhausting or counting calories, okay? And we should, and the whole idea really is to focus on hormonal signals instead. Okay? So the objective today, okay, very simple, is to activate the right hormones so that we can burn this thing for good, okay? This stubborn thing, we need to burn this thing for good. And to fuel the right source so we can build muscle for good. So this is, now many people are facing the converse effect, right? They are burning the muscle and actually keeping the fat cell, okay? So that is not what we're going to do today. Alright, so in order for us to achieve that objective, we need to basically just, in terms of hormone signaling, just these two main hormones that we have to be paying extra attention. So one is insulin. Why? Because insulin is the master fat storage switch. You switch it on, you will store fat, okay? And you switch it off, you will burn fat. That's it, right? And cortisol is the fat retainer. I realize I didn't really talk about this so much, but it's actually very important, right? The more you study, the more you see that, hey, why are all these stubborn fats still there? And it's basically this sneaky thing that, disturbs the background, and that you're not really seeing the results that you want to, right? So how do they work? So this is where feel great is very important, because it creates an internal environment that leads your body to burn fat effortlessly. Okay, once you have that baseline ready, when you do your intermittent fasting, you have the uni mate, okay, and you have the Bioslife S in your meal, you're already doing the difficult work effortlessly, right? You don't have to do all these counting calories, all that. Your body is already doing its recalibration. All the hormone signaling is starting to come into place already. They start to down the insulin signaling. And once you can tackle that thing, and of course, with Uni Mate, we will learn, we will also tackle the cortisol as well. And once you can target both of these things, you are already on your path towards fat loss. You're already on that trajectory. Okay, so with this, it really makes whatever that you're doing so much easier. Okay? So what does Uni Mate does, of course, because of its composition and its bitter taste, it naturally helps you to keep your hunger pangs low. Alright, keeps your craving off so that you wouldn't want to famish and to eat the next meal so much, right? Okay, and it extends your overnight fast, which is so important. We'll learn that more later. It ramps up fat burning and it keeps your insulin low throughout the day. So if you take Uni Mate, you're already 50% there already. Okay, so how do we imagine it burning for us over time? Okay, so this is a comparison between taking and not taking Uni Mate, right? So this is how our body would naturally, as we go through the night when we sleep at night, right? So once you are not eating, okay, this happens for everybody biologically, your insulin levels will drop after the 4th hour, right? Then 4th to 12th hour fasting, your body will start to use liver and muscle sugar store. Okay, like we learned. Alright, and after the 12-hour mark, the 12 to 13, 16-hour mark is only when you go into weak fat burning, You have to wait 12 to 16 hours. 16 hours onwards only, you have to really, have more thorough fat burning. So this is for normal if you don't take any Uni Mate. Okay, but with Uni Mate, because of the composition and the chlorogenic acid that's present, right? Okay, by the 2nd hour, it basically speeds up everything. And of course, with the GLP-1 that's present as well, then you are releasing your metabolizing sugar a lot faster. Your insulin level will drop a lot quicker compared to those who don't, right? And then 2 to 10 hours, you start to mobilize, your liver and muscle sugar stores. And by the 10 to 14 hour, you're already in the deep fat burning zone already. So when you're into your 14 to 16 hour, right, you're already achieving deep fat burning. So with taking unit mate, you are much faster, and you are already working overtime burning while you are sleeping at night. Okay, so this is why when you do take this, it really helps you to go into that mood a lot quicker as well. So this is already a great advantage, for us to mobilize the stubborn fat cells in our body. Alright? Now, this is important to address because there's this thing called the cortisol insulin trap. So how does it work? So in an acute fight or flight scenario, if you are like, if you have to run from somebody chasing you, right? Usually cortisol works in your favor to mobilize energy. Okay, but however, under chronic long-term stress, like don't sleep enough. One day you don't sleep enough is your cortisol will go up, right? Your anxieties at work or whatever, crash diet, your cortisol level stays high. Okay, by right, it's supposed to come down, but for some reason it's always flooding your system. So cortisol will dump more sugar from liver to the bloodstream. So rather than taking, it forces your liver to dump even more sugar to your blood. And this will worsen the insulin levels in your body. It also has a tendency to cling onto fats, to make fat stores difficult to access, especially fat at the visceral area. Right? Interesting, right? And especially the deep abdominal, your visceral fat, right, has a much higher concentration of cortisol receptor than fat found on your thighs or your arms. So if there is a cortisol, right, release, a lot of it, all your visceral fat will hold onto those cortisol hormone. So the more hormone your fat will store, then the harder it is, it's going to dump, more sugar into your bloodstream. Okay, so if cortisol is not managed, it will be difficult to manage sugar, insulin, and fat stores in the long run. Okay, so this cortisol really is a bit of a silent killer, if you were to ask me. Okay, and the effects of cortisol is not so apparent compared to insulin, right? So sometimes, despite doing everything right, you may still find yourself stalling. Okay, and it could be due to this silent, sneaky little hormone that is still activated in your body. Right? So as a solution, high amounts of rapid onset caffeine can cause the nervous system to misinterpret a fight or flight emergency to prompt the surge of cortisol. Right? You may think that, immediately I must release. Okay, so why unit mate is so good is because it's the type of the whole composition of this thing. Alright, that it gives a calm energy kind of vibe, not the anxious energy, which is what most caffeinated beverage give us is anxious energy. So even mate, we combine chlorogenic acid, of course, to give us the alertness, and there's theobromine. What the theobromine does is that it's the calming component of this whole blend. It acts in opposition, but in a good way with chlorogenic acid. So it gives that calming energy, it sustains your whole day. You don't feel like, that you are panicky, right? So it's that calming component, while chlorogenic acid is the one that gives you the alertness. Alright, and you don't feel like you crash, so it's that amazing feeling that comes with it. Alright, and also because there's a lot of anti-inflammatory saponin, it helps the body from oxidative stress that trigger cortisol release. So that is also another component, the anti-inflammatory component that helps to lower down your cortisol level. So ultimately what it does is to allow stubborn area to be more easily accessed. Right? So of course, unit mate does a big job already in helping to mitigate some of the effects of cortisol. But if you don't sleep well, this is where sleep essentials can be very helpful, because for another day, this topic, but sleep essentials also help a lot in calming what we call cortisol in our body. Alright? Oh, it's already 8:25. Okay, I still have a lot to cover. Okay, so it all balances out, right? So balance targets post-meal, okay, this is very straightforward. Okay, it curbs the insulin spike that you eat with food, right? And by capping it, you are also mitigating a surplus of cortisol that would be released post-heavy meal, right? So even when in cortisol trying to force liver, okay, but you already have very good buffer going on with the fibers in your body, so your insulin baseline will continue to stay. Right? So Unimate is that key that helps you to unlock, okay, the fat cells and to break the cortisol insulin trap. And Biostime S is to blunt glucose absorption and to keep your insulin level post-meal. Alright? So are you ready? Okay, this is just the first part, okay? So first step, we must stabilize the insulin signaling in your body, manage this cortisol insulin trap, and feel great gives you the foundation. Alright? Next is you have to retain muscle mass, okay? Because for all of you who do this, you know how difficult it is to maintain your muscle mass. So difficult actually, because it's so easy to lose. It's incredibly easy, and especially when you cut the carbs already, right? You realize that you don't really have much room for other things except by filling your body with more protein. So it's so important that you need something to not just only fuel, but to keep your muscle there, that you don't go on declining. So that's why Stronghold, I think, is fantastic. Okay, it comes here to fill in a very important gap so that you don't lose but end up gaining more muscle for your health, so that you can achieve your ideal state. Alright? Now, let's just do a quick quiz. Okay, so how easy to lose fat compared to losing muscle? Now, losing fat is significant, and you want to see really obvious result, right? To come to lose weight, you want to eliminate all water retention. You take at least few weeks to months to see that, okay, to give you a real reflection of fat loss. But losing muscle, you can lose twice faster than losing fat. Okay, and it's so easy for it to break down. So how is it to gain fat? I tell you, I don't even need to give you any statistic. You can try now. Go and drink bubble tea. Okay, or consecutively 1 week you just drink bubble tea, you will already gain fat. Alright? You gain 4 times more fat quicker than muscle. And every day you just drink your bubble tea whatever, your egg tart, wow, durian some more. This is now the season, right? So cheap. Okay? Extra 500 a day for mindless snacking, you lose 0.5 kg in 7 days. That's how easy to store fat. But to gain muscle, I tell you, this one is so hard. Okay, and there's even a ceiling to muscle gain. Alright? And for a likely active person, the ceiling for muscle gain may be around 0.45 to 1 kg per month. Okay, this we are talking about pure fat, pure muscle gain, not all the glycogen and possible water retention, but to see really solid gain can take up to this range per month. Right? It's crazy. Okay, we need one Chinese New Year, you already know you gain fat so fast. Lose weight, so difficult. Alright? So whenever you are in this kind of recomposition, you maintaining muscle mass is your top priority, your most important priority, because it's so easy to lose. Okay? So how do we maintain it? Okay, this is common logic we have to understand whenever we want to maintain muscle mass. Okay? We need the signal to tell your muscle when to grow, when to recover, and when to stop breaking down. Okay, these 3 things. When to grow, when to recover, and when to stop breaking down. Right? So, in any given moment, if you have enough protein but you have no signal, you have very minimal growth, or in fact, no muscle growth at all. Right? But if you don't have enough protein, you have signal, also cannot grow because there's no source. Even though you have signal, the best signal, but if there's no building blocks, there's nothing to build on. So your muscle will not grow. So the best case scenario is to have abundance of protein in your diet, and also the signal that can instruct your body to go on a maximum muscle growth prompt. So with that, you'll be able to witness this desirable effect in your body. Okay? Right? So these are the ingredients, okay, that's in this stronghold that makes this a very unique product. Okay, and I dare say that in fact it's one of the few in the market, all right, and especially I think in our industry, we are one of the key ones, right, with Signal. Okay, now I'm gonna rearrange how I usually present this, just to give you a better understanding about how this ingredient works. Right? So these are the main building blocks for your muscle. Okay? Whey protein isolate, leucine, and calcium HMB. If you do not know how to explain, you can just say that all three of these are bricks to your muscle, like how you have bricks to a house. So all these give you the raw material for you to build on to your muscle. So creatine, on the other hand, is what we call electricity. So every house also needs the electricity, right? You need electricity for aircon, especially now it's so hot and all that. So creatine is like the electricity to your muscle that give it life. So it's not just a structure, you need life, you need to move. Okay? It's a very agile, mobile entity. Alright? So creatine gives that to your muscle. So I'll talk about this. Of course, we all know that the best way to measure your muscle is, of course, through like maybe through a scan, all right, or even your Tanita. You can see that that your muscle is is it increasing or is it declining, right? But I do believe that the best indicator for muscle growth is how strong you feel, and this is something that you can feel yourself very, very clearly. For example, you walk the stairs, right? Some people, when they see the stairs, they feel scared already. Like, I want to take the escalator, or I want to take the lift. Right? They feel so scared to even climb up the stairs because it takes a lot out of them to even walk a flight of stairs. Right? So all this basic movement that you're doing on a day-to-day basis is already telling you or giving you an indicator of how healthy you are. Right? How well you age, and even how well are you able to do your daily activities, like walking, maybe a bit of running. You're able to feel how you can catch your breath. These are very important indicators, right? Every movement requires energy, mobility for you to stand, to walk out on stairs, to carry an item. Okay, all these things also requires muscle movement, right? Muscle is a living, highly active metabolic tissue that demands a lot of battery power to contract. Alright, and the more battery available, your muscle can respond better, you have better movement, you can bend. Okay, a lot of people cannot even bend on, cannot even squat or bend to pick something, and these are things that would really limit, okay, how you are able to be fully present in your life, right? So this is why I want to talk more about creatine. In fact, creatine is a very important component, right? I think last time it's been misunderstood as gym. Okay, many times when they market creatine, it's always in sports supplement. So because of that, even I myself also neglected creatine. But as we study more about this in Stronghold, we realize that it's actually a really important part of this product as well. Okay, because you not only just need the bricks, but you need power. You need to be able to do the things that you want. So in order to do that, you need to have good amounts of creatine in your muscle, right? So this is what I mean. So your muscle, whenever you do anything, right, you want to take something, also takes contract, you're already contracting already. So this is your battery, right? And it's what you call ATP, that will always donate the phosphate to your muscle so that you can do an energy production. Okay, but our body only stores enough ATP for about 2 to 3 seconds of intense effort. So if you're doing something very intense, like probably if you're running or if you're walking the stairs, for example, it's considered quite intense. So if you're doing that, 2 to 3 seconds of intense effort. So the thing is, the ATP eventually it will donate one of its phosphate group, right, and you become what we call ADP. Right? So once it becomes ADP, you cannot use this already. This battery is useless. So if all of your available energy source is ADP, it means that you cannot produce any energy production after that. So what does that mean? That means that you'll be tired. So if you don't have enough of these battery stores in you, you cannot walk that much. You won't be able to walk the distance that you want. You carry something, then you feel very heavy already. Okay, then your movement will be limited, and you won't be able to do a lot of things. That's what I'm trying to say. Okay, and this is not just only, of course, this is very apparent for those who lift weights, right? If you do resistance training, especially for those bodybuilder, when you lift, okay, this is very apparent. But for day-to-day tasks, for example, you carry something, carry your box or whatever, okay, you feel like, wow, I cannot carry it, no energy. Okay, it's because you may not have enough creatine, right? So it's very important you have good amounts of it circulating in your body. That's why we include this in our formula so that your muscle have electricity to perform its daily duty. Alright? Okay, I'll drink water later. Alright? So what this creatine does is that it's basically like a fast charger. Alright? It donates its phosphate, okay, into your existing battery, and it speeds up the process. Right? So if you have enough of this creatine, you can replenish it. It's like it can keep replenishing your battery, right? You have a lot of ATP, then the more ATP you have, the more energy you can use, right? So without creatine, energy generation is 2 to 3 times lower. It's that much, okay, because we use a lot of it. So by keeping the energy tank full, if we constantly have a lot of all this battery in us, okay, it allows us to do a lot more, right? And this definitely will feel it one. Okay, if somebody who cannot do that much and somebody who can do a lot more, you also feel a lot better, right? Okay, so next, okay, all this that we're going to talk about is more on giving us the bricks, which is also very important as well, right? These are basic, fundamental bricks that forms and help our muscle to grow. So whey protein isolate for this is more of a signal. It doesn't really act as a food source, but is to activate the muscle, to prepare it for muscle building, right? So it's not as a fuel source, but that's why the amounts are very nominal, which is 2.7 to 2.8. Okay, some people say, hey, it should be 21 or something, but it's 2.7 just to activate. Okay, because the purpose of this product is to give us signal. Right, so leucine and calcium HB, okay, they work about the same thing, but both of them are more like a synergistic effect with one another. Okay, so leucine purpose is the strongest muscle building signal, okay, and it can activate mTOR. Okay, this is the thing that we want to be doing basically. So what calcium HB does is that it balances the effect of leucine so that muscle will continue to be sensitive to the effect of leucine, and continue, and most importantly, it stops your muscle from breaking down. That's the purpose of calcium HB. Okay, it prevents muscle loss. So it balances leucine as well. Alright, so with this, both of these activates mTOR so that you'll be able to see maximum muscle growth, and calcium HB balance leucine and to ensure that you do not lose additional amino acid from your muscle. Okay, right? So I'm on time, I think. Alright, so the whole purpose of today, and by taking your fuel grade together with a strong goal, you are already achieving 2 things that many people struggle to achieve. Number 1, you want to activate the right hormones, okay, to help you to assess your stubborn fat stores so we can burn these hormones. And you want to fuel the right source, signal the right kind of messaging to your muscle so that you can build this for good, and we don't end up losing it, which many people do whenever they are on a program, right? Okay, so this is the best solution to burn fat, to keep and grow your muscle. Okay, so make sure you're taking both of these, right? In fact, you must have both of these to ensure that you are on the right track. Okay, so before I end, I do want to share one real life result. Okay, someone has actually completed this 90-day, and I think the results is really good. Okay, and it's a reflection of how our products is able to help you to achieve what you desire. Alright, so this is Abigail. Alright, and this is her before the program. Right, so you can see she's 57 points first weigh-in before the 90-day. So even after that, okay, she lost about 4 kilos, okay, and body fat also declined, her body fat mass declined, her muscle also increase actually. Okay, this is what we call a positive body weight composition. Okay, we don't really want to call ourselves a weight loss because our program, we do not want to send the message that everybody on this is to lose weight. It's not. And in fact, she's not too bad. Okay, Abigail, when she started off this program, she's not too bad. She looks really good as well. But it's more of realigning her body composition, so it's much better and healthier as well. Okay, and you can see how she's continuing that trend. Okay, and present she's 51. Okay, and she's very good. She looks very good, and body fat this is what we call a steady decline, and this is a solid kind of body fat percentage reduction. Okay, not due to water mass and all that. After like 4 months, you can see these are results that are pretty solid, I would say. Okay, that she lost also a lot. Okay, close to 5. It's like 5 kg of body fat. That's a lot, Okay, your muscle increased from 22 to 67, and the visceral fat reduced as well. Okay, so this is really good results, and hoping that everybody embark on this could also experience the same type of results to your body, and this is what we call a proper program, right? So this is how she looks right now. Okay, you may not be able to see much difference from this because she looks about the same, but if you look at this, okay, you'll be like, oh my gosh. Okay, when she pulled her jeans, I was like, wow, my eye almost dropped. That's a lot, man. Okay, imagine how many inches is this, right? This is the side, and this is of course her front view. So you can see that these jeans that she wore previously is like she can change. Okay, she has to change her wardrobe because nothing really fits her already. Okay, so this is what we do, and with the right kind of support, you will be able to see this kind of result. Okay, we do not want people to end up being like malnourished after this, and after that you lose muscle. That's not what we are here for. Okay, for those who are healthy, is for you to adjust and to get a more healthy kind of profile for you, and also your blood readings and all that kind of thing. Okay, so this is a great testimony, and I'm sure, okay, for everyone else who was on this program, you must imagine Abigail in your mind so that you can also achieve the same result. Alright? Okay, so thank you very much for listening to my talk here today. Before we go into Q&A, okay, we also like to share this upcoming Singapore event, okay, which is the health event that we do, periodically in Singapore. Okay, so it's going to be next Saturday, so fast, okay? Next Saturday in Singapore, and we're going to have a health talk, we're going to have free health check, the blood check and all that as well. So, so please bring your friend along. This is the best time actually to bring in people who don't really believe you. They need to come and check and experience this themselves to be able to experience the kind of transformation that they want to. Right, so highly recommend you to bring your friend along, whoever we have not heard, and for them to also experience this thing, for them to check, and it's gonna really help them a lot in their health journey. Okay, so don't keep good news to yourself. Okay, make sure you share it to people, bring them along, so they can all benefit. Okay, from this health check. Okay. Now we are opening our time here for Q&A. Okay, great. We already have questions, which is good. Okay. So Bernie Ray. Okay, I don't know, is it Mr. or Mrs. But okay, I'll just call you by your name, right? Bernie Ray. I drink bubble tea every day, but I run regularly too. Okay, does that balance things out? Well, I mean, basically, refined sugars aren't that good for you anyway. All right, so I'm assuming you are kind of person that does have a high metabolic rate. Okay, bubble tea is something you can still take occasionally. Okay, if you really feel like to drink. Okay, anyway, or feel great. We don't restrict you technically, because it's not like this whole thing is not to restrict people. Okay, in fact, feel great is to give people freedom, right, for you to eat what you like. But of course, end of the day, I mean, of course, you can still think the bubble tea, but I still think bubble tea, end of the day, the refined carbs is just not that good for you. All right, you're going to end up, triggering cortisol and all that kind of stuff in the body, which, may not work that well in the long run. So if you do take this, then just don't take it so often. So if you really do feel that you crave for it and you think after you're having a major run, you want to reward yourself, please feel free. Okay, but you shouldn't be drinking your bubble tea as often as how you would take your uni mate. All right. Okay, I hope I answered your question. Okay, so coach one, is stronghold suitable for CKD kidney patients? Okay, unfortunately, I wouldn't recommend, okay, because CKD is a very different class of its own. And of course, we do understand that CKD patients do lose muscle as well, especially on dialysis, right? But because of things that whey protein isolate, things that you've seen, and they're on a higher level, so I'm not too sure how would that react, okay, as they're on, on dialysis. I wouldn't recommend that. I think it's best for them to still follow through before the doctor would recommend them to take, right, for CKD kidney patients. Okay, Frankie, is that coffee can drink day and night like normal coffee? I'm not too sure what do you mean, okay? So if you're talking about your black coffee, okay, black coffee is actually good. Okay, black coffee does have its health benefit, but it will trigger cortisol, right? But if you're talking about once a day, it's not too bad. But you cannot drink more than, I don't think black coffee you can drink more than 2 cups a day. It's actually not good, right? If you can, of course, switch to uni mate, it's even better. First of all, it doesn't increase your cortisol as high, and you can drink 2. All right, and now I think Singapore has this LDO, right? Yes, caffeine free. So you can actually try that. Okay, for those who are adventurous, you can even take that close to bedtime, so you can extend your fast at night. Right? So I think for those who have a decaf option, it's actually very good. You can incorporate that into your routine, especially for those who can't take too much caffeine in the day. Right? Okay, so okay, I really do not want to mispronounce your name. Okay, so I'll just Jose Maria So. Okay, I'm more confident to pronounce that. Okay, hi Claudia. My question here is number 1. What's the difference between two uni mate and 1 balance, and 1 uni mate and 2 balance? Okay, then I have been in this protocol since September, but I feel the same. So does this mean I need to relook again my eating method? Thanks. Okay, the whole objective about both of these is to give people options, right? Some people, they will respond better with 2 uni mate and 1 balance, all right? And especially with Singapore, when you have this option, it's good that you can experiment both. Okay, so 2 uni mate generally give you more energy, and it's more towards the fat burning side. But of course, we do have people, in fact, Malaysia's, Brunei, a lot of them, they use the 2 balance and 1 uni mate. They can also see the result. Okay, so I would really say, end of the day is how you feel. Right? Some people, they think that 2 uni mate is better for them, then they see better results. But some people, they say that 2 balance is better because they feel like their food. Okay, in terms of what they eat a lot of outside food. They feel like it helps them to curb, their body needs the fiber. So the 2 balance and 1 uni mate will then work better for them. So for you, if no, then that's definitely going to be a preference, right? I think in the back of your mind, you're already thinking either which. So in this case, just do what you feel comfortable, and the one that gives you. But in fact, if you can, you just stick to 1. Maybe you can stick to 2 uni mate, 1 balance, and after that, if you feel like you're going to switch things up for your body to change a bit, you can feel free to do that every 6 months as well. All right, to give your body, to shock your body a bit. So maybe because of that, you may see even better results. I don't know. Okay, so it's day-to-day basis, but I would say across the board, we have people who will respond well on 2 different configurations. Okay, so it's really up to the individual. All right. Okay, I have members who need to take metformin after breakfast in the morning. So what is the advice since we need to take in the morning? Okay, so I've clarified this with the scientists. They say that they can take basic medications like metformin, cholesterol medicine. Okay, all this you can take together with balance. So they say it's okay. Yeah, to take it. You take it before you take your balance or after balance is fine. They say it's okay. Can take if you're talking about basic all this metabolic medication. Can. All right. Yeah. So for them, they have to take. I think they have to take it with meal. Not mistaken. Metformin have to take with meal. So they can take the metformin first, then take the fiber. No problem. Okay. So I'm 40 and skateboarding my exercise daily. Can I drink coffee? Would that affect my metabolism and reduce fat? Yeah, of course you can drink coffee if you want, but I would say you can't drink too much. So swapping it with unit mate would be even better in that sense. Okay. Okay, so the stronghold also assists in regeneration of cartilage and improve bone density. Okay, regeneration of cartilage is one I can't comment on that because we have not performed any studies based on that. But in terms of muscle and how muscle would eventually impact the health of your cartilage, I think it's possible. Okay, in terms of how it helps your joint movement and all that. Okay, we have many testimonials on that. Okay, so definitely if you improve your muscle, it will also improve on your cartilage as well, subconsciously. Okay, but you're talking about direct regeneration. I can't confirm you on that. Okay, so bone density, again, this one you still need to also pair it with good amount of calcium. So I do recommend you to also take in calcium, if you're going to take stronghold together to see even better results with your bone density. Okay. Unit mate with Italian espresso without sugar, is it okay? Feel free to try. I've not tried this before though. It may actually taste quite good. Okay, I won't be surprised. Yeah, please, okay, taste and let me know how does it, how is it. Okay, so thank you for sharing, Miss Laura. Okay, hi, Coach Man. Yes, I'm Claudia. Laura is my lovely colleague. Okay, and she's the very responsible timekeeper. All right, so I'm very happy to asking me questions, Coach. In fact, I'm also very happy to see you in the Malaysia office. Okay, so please feel free to come and visit us more often. Okay, we're more than happy to answer your questions. Okay. Okay, when is the best time to take stronghold when incorporated together with the protocol? Stronghold is best to take with meals, so I recommend at night or in the day. But if you want, you can take at night as well, because at night is how and is when our body recover, right? Our muscle will recover. So I think it's the best time to take at night. Okay, probably after meal, or you can take it during your dinner together with your RSFS at night. Yeah, I think that would be a good time to take it. Okay, I'm making creatine unflavored micronized. Okay, 5 milligram each time. Shall I continue with it? How does it compare with stronghold? Okay, I think because this is pure creatinine, right? You're talking about. So of course you can take that also if you want to, but it doesn't really provide the signal like stronghold, because stronghold we have other things as well, like the whey protein isolate. You have the the leucine and the HMB. So because of all these components, they do produce that signaling that creatine alone don't give. Okay, no doubt, 5 milligrams of creatine is also pretty good, right? Because especially we know those who go work out, you may have to top up more, so you can do that if you want to. Okay, but I wouldn't recommend you to swap it with just pure creatinine, because if not, you won't be able to get that mTOR signaling which you want to activate, right? And mTOR is the master building signal, right? So I'll recommend, if you want to top up with creatine, it's fine. It's up to you. But you should be still taking stronghold as the base. So if you top up with creatine, then it will give you the kind of result that you want. Right? Okay. So one last one, if to take second unit mate during the day after lunch or a few hours before dinner. I think it's up to you. Depending on your caffeine tolerance. So if caffeine tolerance is not too bad and you can take coffee at night and sleep. Okay, if you are the kind of person, then please, you can do that. Okay, but if you're the kind of person that you want the energy in the middle of the day, but you don't want it to affect the night, then you can take in the middle of the day, you can take earlier. So it's really up to you. Okay? Right, so our lovely, okay, there's one more question Rosma did ask, okay? So I'm going to address it. Is it necessary to do exercise if you take unit mate balance? It's not to say you must do, okay, but if you can, it's always good to do. Okay, because unit mate balance always really give you a very good foundation. It will give you a very good foundation to really dial down your insulin and cortisol and all that. Okay, but in actual fact, if you really want your muscle, right, to be very strong, it's still good to do some weight training. Okay, some resistance training. Okay, you have to still do some mechanical tearing, in a sense. Okay, with that, and only through that and with stronghold and all that, you will see definitely even better result. Okay, so of course we don't do exercise. Stronghold also can help you. If you don't do exercise, you take stronghold, definitely you already feel it. But if you can do exercise on top of it, definitely you'll be much better lah. Okay, in terms of like, your overall mobility and things like that. So I would highly encourage, if you can, do it. If not, you should have at least a stronghold. If not, you'll be very weak if you don't. All right. Okay, so thank you everybody for your time here today. So I hope that I've answered your questions. Okay, so there any other questions, please feel free to send me an email. Okay, we'll be more than happy to answer you. All right, so more updates on the next talk later on. Okay, we should send you announcements when the time is up. And till then, okay, for everybody who's in Singapore, I hope to see you on the 25th. We're going to have another health talk. Bring your friends along, okay, and let everybody join us in this movement together. All right, so thank you so much, everybody, for your time, and we'll see you in the next session. Bye.